the last day of Chanukah. Kabbalistically, it's known as Zos Chanukah. There's the eighth day of Chanukah has tremendous spiritual energies, and in general, the number 8 is considered to be on a Kabbalistic level above nature. It's like 7 is the number that represents nature, and anything with the number 8 associated is like doing something with Lamala Min HaTeva, above nature. So the 8th day of Chanukah is considered to be a auspicious, a very propitious day of for opening up realms of spirituality, holiness. Let me just offer a couple of interpretations to a machlokus that it's fascinating machlokus in Maseches Shabbos, where it's talking about the requirement of how we're supposed to light. The Gemara tells us in Maseches Shabbos that there are 3 levels that a person can light Chanukah candles. One is known as Ner Ishu Beiso, which requires 1 candle for each household. We've spoken about, I wrote up last week exactly why it's tied to the household as opposed to the individual. We're not going to get into that right now. But basically, at the very base level, if a person wants to fulfill the mitzvah, you light 1 candle per household. Then, if you want to do a mahadrin, if you want to do it on even a higher level, either mahadrin of beautifying it or run after it to try and do it even a better way. So then you do it reflecting the people of the home, according to the number of members in the household. The number of candles reflect the amount of family. And then there's mahadrin mina mahadrin, which is like the even highest level. So there you're supposed to light 1 candle the first night, and each subsequent night light another candle. That's according to Beis Hillel. And Beis Shammai, you start with 8 candles on the first night, and you go down until you're left with 1 candle on the last night. Where there is a discrepancy in halacha between the Balei HaTosfos and the Rambam, Maimonides, is that 3rd level, which is supposed to have reflecting 1 new candle each night, is that built on the 2nd level of Mahadrin, or is that goes back to the base level? What I mean by that is, according to the base level, let's say you have a house of 10 people. So the base level is 1 candle each night. So on the first night you'll have 1 candle. On the 8th night you'll have 1 candle. Mahadrin. So then you go according to the people of the household. So then on the first night you'd have 10. And on the last night you'd have 10. What do you do when it's Mahadrin mina Mahadrin? So here we have a machlokas. Tosfos says that Mahadrin mina Mahadrin, according to, let's say, Beis Hillel, 1 on the first night, 8 on that night, it cannot be based on how many people in the home. Because based on how many people in the home, then you're not going to be able to tell what night it is. And if the Mahadrin mina Mahadrin is to tell you what night it is, so therefore the Mahadrin mina Mahadrin goes back on the base level. Instead of having 1 night, You'll have one the first night, and you'll have 8 the last night. Doesn't matter how many people are in the home. That's what Tosfos says. You'll have one menorah, one. The Rambam says no. It goes up in each one is built on the next one, which means that if you have Mahadran, you have 10 people in the house. The Mahadran is 10 every night, right? Then what you're going to have is that you have to add a candle for each person in the household every single night, which means that on the last night you're going to have 80 candles. Right. You're going to have 80 candles because it's building level 3 is built on level 2, not going back to level 1 like the Tosfos. The Taz says something interesting, and he says, maybe this is one of the miracles of Chanukah too, is that this is the first time that the Ashkenazim who follow the Ramah paskin like the Rambam, because Ashkenazim write multiple menorahs, everyone lights his own number. So 10 people in the house, you're going to have 80 candles because everyone's lighting their own one, whereas the Sfardim are paskin like Tosfos, which usually doesn't end up happening. Usually Tosfos is from the rabbis that were from Germany, Europe, the Ashkenazim, Germany, France, paskin like him, and the Rambam, the Mechaber, the Shulchan Aruch, paskin like the Rambam. Here it flips over. The Ashkenazim were doing like the Sfardim were doing like the Ashkenazim, one of the miracles of Chanukah. That's, but what's interesting to note is that this machlokas here between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, do you go from 1 candle through to 8? Or do you go from 8 down to 1? What is, in essence, what is the machlokas? The Gemara gives 2 reasons. We're going to deal with one of the reasons, but just to understand what the pshat and the deeper meaning of the reason is, I think has some practical aspects that we can focus on, which again will mean that according to Beis Shammai, if you pass, we do pass always like Beis Hillel. So that means that the difference will be if you're Ashkenazi, you're going to end up having 10 people in the house, each one lighting a menorah. You'll have 80 candles at the end if all 10 are lighting, whereas according to the Sfardim, following the opinion of Beis Hillel, what that means is that you'll have 1 menorah in the home, and you will have 8 candles at the end. I saw the Darka Moshe, which is the Rambam, the Ramah Moshe Isserlis's commentary on the Tur, says something interesting. He says there might not be that much of a machlokas. Fascinating. He says that the Tosfos, who only allows for 1 menorah, is because he was focusing on the minhag that used to be to light outside. When you lit outside, you had to light next to the door. So there's only really room for 1 menorah. But now that the custom has switched to lighting indoors, so we're not makbid to light next to the door, so now you can separate different places where you can light, so therefore everybody can light themselves. You don't have to have that 1 menorah, so it could be there's not that much of a machlokes. Why don't most of us light outside again? The reasons for lighting inside was because of the sakana, wasn't it? That's already a subject to another halachic dispute we're not going to get into right now. But in Eretz Yisrael today, and even a few people in Chutz La'aretz do actually light outside. Still today, you have these little glass lantern type things, and they light outside, and most of us light indoors. The question is, what exactly is the machlokas here between going up from 1 to 8 or coming down from 8 to 1? So the Gemara says like this. The Gemara says, what's the machlokas? So the Gemara says that Beis Shammai focus on how many days you have left. So you start, the first day you start with 8, second day you have 7 days left, 6 days left, you go down to 1. And Beis Hillel are focusing on how many days have passed. So the first day, 1 day's passed, second day, 2 days passed. So what's the insight there? I mean, that's clear what they're saying, but what is the insight? Are you focusing on the days that are left? Are you focusing on the days that are still to come? So I think it's the Sfas Emes. I believe it's the Sfas Emes. He says something which I think has tremendous practical implications. I think it's something that is a push to understand. He says that there's two ways a person can serve God. And we have to do them both. The question is, where do you start? The Pasuk says in Tehillim, Sur Meira v'asei tov. Sur Meira means remove yourself from the evil. And asei tov means do good. So you're removing the negative, or you are focusing on the positive. You have to do both. The question is, where does it start? So the Sfas Emes says that which is also interesting, the second reason that they give for Beis Shammai in the Gemara, this is really where the Sfas Emes brings this idea out, is that the reason we go from 8 down to 1 is it's connected to Parei Achag, the bulls that were brought as part of the Musaf service on Sukkot. What the connection with Sukkot and Chanukah is, not for now, but in Parshas Pinchas we mentioned the Musafim, the Korbanos Musaf. So there it says that we brought 13 bulls the first day Sukkot, 12, 11, 10, 9, went all the way down till Hoshana Rabbah, till the last day. Shmini Atzeret is already another holiday, but we went down to so we go down in number. Why do we go down in number? Because if you add them all up, it comes to 70. So the Gemara says 70 is connected to 70 Ummos HaOlam, those that are the obstacles for the Jewish people with their connection to Hashem, with the connection to Kavod Mashiach. They give us all the problems, and we're going down in number till we go down in descending order. What does that have to do with Chanukah? So the Sfas Emes says that there is an external flame, and there's also an internal flame. What's the person's internal flame? The person's internal flame is the neshama. So just as externally the power of fire is there to remove the negative, to remove the obstacle on the outside, and that's the knocking off the nations of the world till the coming of Mashiach, to be able to take away evil from the outside, we also knock off the negative, the evil inside of us as well. And that's also, we have 8 problems, go down to 7 problems. I mean, we're knocking down the negativity, the negative things are within us. We have to focus on the Sur Meira. To get to the Asei Tov, you have to start with the Sur Meira. That's the philosophy of Beis Shammai. Whereas Beis Hillel say is that there's another way to get to where you want to get to. Is if you put a lot of focus on the Asei Tov, and you put a lot of focus on the positive, then automatically by building up the positive, you know what's going to end up happening? There'll be an automatic Sur Meira. It'll take away from the negative, will be removed. And obviously this has tremendous educational insight to this idea too. The whole idea of Chanukah, by the way, is the Inyan of Chinuch, dedication of the Beis HaMikdash, the education, the whole idea over there is there's 2 ways to focus in education. Is it, if you just try focus on the negative, you see the kids doing something wrong, just focus negative to get them to the good, that's not always going to be so successful. Beis Shammai, Beis Hillel saying the other way to do it is build up the positive. You build up the positive, you focus on the positive, you do the Asei Tov, then the Sur Meira will diminish on its own. A beautiful idea. That's the Sfas Emes' idea to explain the numbers going up and the numbers going down from Beis Shammai, and it has many applications because, as the Mefarshim tell us, is Shammai in general is Midas Adin, right? When the guy came to Shammai, got him out of the shower on and Erev Shabbos, and he said, "Teach me Torah on 1 foot," he let him know where he can go. Whereas Hillel, took him in and worked with him, So there's one is Midas Adin, and the other one is Midas HaChesed. There's more. So that's Shammai and Hillel. That's the Sfas Emes. Show you another interpretation that we'll give today, and I think that'll help us a little. We'll get back to it. Is Rabbi Shlomo Yosef Zevin, a great rabbi, passed away about 30, 40 years ago. Rabbi Zevin was a very chashuv, a rov, and he has a pshat that he says, and I'd like to focus on that too. But let's see if we can get another interpretation into the numbers going up or the numbers going down that in the Machlokas Besham Beis Hillel. This week's Parsha is Parsha Vayigash. It's fascinating. The last few Parshas, literally a soap opera. Yosef has dreams. He sees himself being the Melech. Right? The brothers feel that he's being divisive, he's going to be leading to the destruction of the Shvatim. And even though he has dreams usually are, the Gemara says in Brachos, that's it's like a mini nevuah. It's an insight to what God's projecting. And we see, it says, Va'aviv shamar es hadavar. His father listens to the dreams, and it says he kept them in his mind. Shamar es hadavar, he's waiting for this. His brothers don't have the same position about it. They feel he's being divisive, he's undermining the direction of Klal Yisrael, and they want to kill him. Actually, Paskin Halacha, they had a beis din, and they judges should be killed. Last minute they said, let's not kill him, let's sell him down to Mitzrayim. This week's Parsha, we have Yehuda threatening Yosef, and Yosef then reveals himself, and the Ramban explains that all of this last couple of parshios, Yosef was actually he felt it is important, since the dreams had said that his brothers and his parents are going to bow down to him. That was an important part of what has to happen, and therefore he was setting up the authentication of the dreams. So what happens, they actually bow down to him, and he sets it up. That's the order. He's following what the dreams are telling him to go ahead and do. That this is really creating that scenario where there's another aspect going on here, as the Rishonim speak out, is that really this Yosef-Yehuda relationship we find all the way through Jewish history was culminating with the coming of Mashiach, as Mashiach ben Yosef, as Mashiach ben David. David is from Yehuda. You have that dual relationship that there's going to be the two leaders. You have that earlier in Bais Rishon, when the splitting of you have the children of Rachel and the children of Leah, right? That's the Shlomo HaMelech, Shaul HaMelech is from the children of Rachel, and then you have, switching to you have that dual, then you have also Malchus Yehuda and Malchus Yisrael, that split. You have this Yehuda Yosef rivalry, or as to what and ultimately they're supposed to supplement, like we see by Mashiach ben Yosef, Mashiach ben David, but Yosef actually is bringing out the qualities that are needed in Yehuda to be the Melech, because he realizes we need Yehuda for the Malchus Yisrael, and Yehuda dropped the ball. Yehuda, as to show Malchus, as her leadership, Yosef saw that he didn't stand up for one of the brothers. Where he should have stood up, instead of suggesting sell him down to Mitzrayim, he should have stood up. So Yosef orchestrates that finally, when does he reveal himself? When Yehuda stands up for who? Binyamin. He says, take me instead. Now you're my Melech. Now That's right. That's now you're ready to be the melech. That's the story. So you have the dreams that they did not agree with, and even though it says his father Shomer Sadavar, and now you have him revealing himself. And fascinating over here is that Yosef says, "Okay, go down, get my father." What does he show? What does he do to show his father that he's still alive? Right? So it says, when does his father realize that he's alive? He can't believe them. But it says that when he saw the wagons that Yosef have sent to transport him, then his spirit was revived. Then he said, my son, Od Yosef Chai. Right? So Rashi says, what do you mean he saw the wagons? Vayaras ha'agolos asher shalach. What does the wagons have to do with anything? So Rashi says like this. She says that the wagons were showing Yaakov that it's Yosef. Let me just find it.
Did they learn something the last thing?
Right. Siman Masar Lahem. He sent a sign. Ash b'meh haya osek b'shapiresh mimeno. What was the last thing they were learning when he left him? But Parshas Egla Arufa. The last thing they were learning was the Parsha of Egla Arufa. Egla Arufa is when you find a dead body that is close to a city, then they need to atone for the death of that person. They take a calf and they decapitate it in a piece of property, a ground, a place where nothing can grow. It's not possible to grow, and you're not allowed to cultivate that place ever again. Shelo Yizareo. And so he sent the Agolos. So it's very good. Agolos in Hebrew is written with the same shorish of the word Egla.
Exactly.
Right. So like it's almost like going like this, right. So, send calves. And, you want to remind that we did Egla Arufa, send calves. He sends a wagon that's written the same words that the word Agola is Egla, and therefore it's like almost like it doesn't make sense. That's the way, it's like how are you going to remind? Must be there's more of this message. Means the message is, I remember the last thing we learned. Oh, it's Yosef. What's the message over there? So then send calves. What are you sending wagons? What exactly is the message of sending the wagons? And how does that show that revives Yosef, Yaakov? Why is he dafka sending that
It's reminded Egla B'zman Karev, it's connected. No?
Bagala is in Aramaic, means time.
Uh-huh.
But I think it's with an aleph also, no the hey. But Agala Bisman Kariv is aleph. Yeah, that's Aramaic. Yeah. But again, so what's Agalos? They teach us, and so we just accept everything the Rebbe says. But it doesn't. Think about it for a moment. He sent wagons that are spelt the same way. Was that the?
He didn't believe when Serach.
No, it says that he couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe it. But when he saw the wagons, okay, so it's
sunk in.
Right. Yeah. I want to say it like this. I believe it's Reb Zevin says a beautiful shot in the explanation of Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. I want to use the he says like this. There is a fundamental dispute going on here between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. God has invested this one pach of oil with a capacity to miraculously burn for 8 days. It has the potential to burn for 8 days. We now are celebrating and publicizing this miracle. Publicizing the miracle of the pach. There's two ways we can focus on it. Beis Shammai are focusing on that you have this one pach that has a potential for 8 days. After it burns for 1 day, what is the potential for it now?
0.
7 days. After it burns down, it burns a little bit every night, but it means, so what they're focusing on the celebration of potential. And the potential each day is being diminished. You're celebrating the potential. Initially, the celebration is potential of 8 days of miracle, 7 days of miracle, 6 days of miracle. So you're celebrating and you're publicizing the potential that's within the Pach. That's what Rabbi Zevin says. However, according to Beis Hillel, we don't celebrate potential. We celebrate when you actualize potential. So when you're actualizing potential, the first day you've actualized 1/8 of that potential. The second day you've actualized 2/8, 3/8, 4, until the last day you now have actualized all of the potential, and that's those Chanukah. You celebrate. That's the day you celebrate the most because there's the full actualization of potential. So really, the machlokas is, are we celebrating the potential, or are we celebrating the actualization of the potential? Very interesting. That's the way he wants to suggest that. But the idea Beis Hillel say is we don't celebrate potential. Potential is good, but it's not to celebrate. Until it's actualized, we don't go ahead and celebrate it. We'll say it's like this. A dream is different than a nevuah. A dream is an insight to a prophecy, but it's different than a prophecy itself. How is it different? We've spoken about this before. Because a prophecy means this is what's going to happen. A dream means potentially this can happen. But there are things that could stop it from happening if you don't develop the potential to allow it to happen. But the brothers were upset. They believe that dreams show an insight of potential. But Yosef already was trying to act on it. Yosef was considering himself to be now the Melech. He was acting now as if he's in charge. That potential, that's only potential. That's not. You haven't done enough to develop to become that, and that is delusional. That could be destructive. If somebody's delusional and he thinks who he is because of what his potential is, but he's not developed that yet, that's destructive, and that's what they felt. His father, Shamar Sadavar, his father saw the dream. He was waiting. He also didn't say now. Hopefully it'll happen in the future. It's, by the way, a very important insight to ourselves and to teenagers, because the word for a teenager is nar. In Yiddish, nar is like a derivation. Somebody's like being a nar. What's that?
An idiot.
An idiot. Being a nar is somebody who's delusional, a fool. Why? Because a teenager thinks he's an adult. Right? He wants everyone to deal with him and treat him as an adult, but you have the potential to be an adult. You're not. That's why Yosef is called a nar. A nar is called a nar. Who nar has been is not yet. That was the problem. It was delusional. That was the problem with Yosef. Yosef was trying to live a dream that he wasn't ready yet to live that dream. Where do we see things come full circle? This I heard, by the way, Rabbi Gershon Suschen, Zechor Levracha. It's a Baal Abbas in Miami. He used to learn with him. Brilliant fellow. Passed away at a young age. I used to go to his house and learn with him. He said this pshat. He used to say beautiful ideas in Chumash. He says like this. Beautiful idea. The Gemara in Sota says that the reason why we take an egel and we decapitate the egel and we do it in a place that cannot be cultivated is because we're showing that a human life has been cut short. Somebody murdered human life. There's been this loss of potential. The potential of this person to have become who knows what and develop has now been cut off. So you take a calf, a young calf, and you put it in a place that can't grow, you're reflecting the loss of potential, that the tragedy of the life that was cut short. That's what you're doing. Take it a step further. What is the ultimate fulfillment, actualization of potential of the calf? When does a calf really reach it actualizes full potential? When it does what?
Produces milk.
Okay, let's say a calf doesn't have to be a female only, but right? When it serves man, when it works, when does it work? What does it do? It schleps a plow. It schleps a wagon.
We don't think of that.
What's that?
We don't think that way because cows don't do that for us.
Nowadays, now they don't. But I'm just saying, is a calf in its potential is when it serves man, when it's fulfilled its potential, and it schleps a wagon. Mm-hmm. A wagon is the ultimate fulfillment of the potential of the calf. The message that Yosef was sending his father is I left as a calf. I left as a calf. I'm sending you back a wagon. This calf has developed, has reached, because Yosef is shor, by the way, that's also. Yosef, all the Shvatim have different animals that represent them. Bechor shor hadar lo, Yosef is the shor. Yosef is the calf in its fulfillment as the shore. Yosef is telling him, he's sending him the calf to tell his father, your dreams, what you were dreaming, I'm no longer the calf. That's not delusional. I'm not in my dreams anymore. These dreams have been actualized. My potential has been fulfilled. I'm sending you the wagon. Yaakov, Od Yosef Chai. Yosef has reached his potential. That's the message. That is, he's gone from a dreamer to now becoming the melech, fulfilling, actualizing the dreams. That he's fulfilled his potential. That is what he's sending his father. So basically what we're saying is like this. We're saying is that's actually the message of Zos Chanukah too, is that it's celebrating the fulfillment of potential, is the actualization. Yeah. Everybody has potential. There's a very scary letter that's written by the Chazon Ish. The Chazon Ish writes down that so many people have seen that were Iluyim, they were brilliant as children, they were prodigies, and he says, and Ein Hara destroyed them. So what I understand what that means is that when we go on about how brilliant and everything as these kids, there's going to be the next Einstein, whatever it is, and the kids buy into it, they think that that's who they are already. Without allowing them to develop and become, we destroy, because we need to celebrate the actualization of the potential, not celebrate the potential itself. And that's the idea of the 8th day of Chanukah, is the full actualization. That's the idea of the wagons that show the celebration of Yosef reaching from the calf to becoming what? And that's Yehuda, that's when Yaakov buys into it and understands what Yosef is sending him. I want to have a friend of Chanukah.
רגע, יש לי בעיה. אצל כהנים